I know you've heard his interviews.
Let me tell you what he understands today.
Okay.
He ain't running shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. They taught him a great lesson.
Okay.
Like, you don't have this figured out. Your dad don't have this figured out.
Who's they?
All right, mic check, mic check. We're not going to waste any time. This is about Shedeur Sanders. I just heard this Cris Carter interview that to me summed it up as accurately as possible. No sugarcoating, direct. Shedeur Sanders put himself in this position. And let me say that Shedeur Sanders, I'm just saying as a grown man, you're held accountable for your actions. I believe that Shedeur Sanders put himself in this position because he got terrible advice from his pops, and he got terrible advice from a lot of these ESPN commentators, whether it's Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Clark, and a whole bunch of other people that were out here celebrating his arrogant behavior, his arrogant and confusing behavior. People out here acting as if $1 billion NFL franchise should adjust their culture, should adjust how they do things for Shedeur, but Shedeur shouldn't have to make any adjustments in order to be a part of that particular $1 billion franchise. He is confused. He just got humbled. Hopefully it helps him. And this is coming from somebody that actually is a Shedeur Sanders fan. I bought Shiloh's jersey. I'm a Sanders fan, right? I was a Deion fan. However, you got to call a spade a spade. You got to be willing to call out the bad behavior that we see in even people that we like, because what ends up happening is Shedeur Sanders, if we don't call out the poor behavior in him, it's going to impact the next generation. This is no different than society. All right. When we turn around and look at, damn, how did we get in this bad position as black people culturally? Just making an example. We act as if we didn't do things years ago that were going to put us in this position. So now you got Shedeur, all these grown men, a lot of them played in the NFL. They know how this thing goes, celebrating Shedeur and his behavior, knowing damn well it was going to be detrimental to his draft status. Now he potentially just threw away $30 to $50 million by being a 5th round pick instead of a 1st round pick. And what are y'all saying now? Now y'all giving up all these excuses, saying it's racism, saying it's a whole bunch of, it's none of that. It's none of that. It's called billionaires don't listen to college kids. That's what it's called. If I'm running $1 billion franchise, I'm not listening to some college kid coming in here talking about he's going to set the tone, set the franchise, set the culture. A $1 billion company would never bring in a CEO that cares more about their personal brand than they care about the actual company brand. There's so many different things here. Cris Carter hit the nail on the head, in my opinion. And perhaps this is why Cris Carter isn't on these major platforms anymore. Maybe one of the reasons, because he's just too straight talk for so many people. But I'm glad that he didn't fall victim to getting caught up in all the race baiting, getting caught up into being a fan of Shedeur, a fan of Deion, scared to say anything that goes against Prime, and he just kept it real. So we're going to get into this interview. Excuse me, I'm actually sure. So let me make sure that I have, this is the fully loaded. I wanted to make sure that I say it correctly. This is the fully loaded interview with Cris Carter. Let me see if I can get this gentleman's name as well. So it's Cris Carter and Sean Maeki. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, Sean. Dope interview. I hope a lot of young kids listen to this, and I hope a lot of young kids can learn from this, and perhaps maybe some of the adults can learn from this as well. Because the adults, we're doing a bad job of becoming fans of these young kids and not leading them, trying to be parents that are friends, right? This is something that we see in this generation, trying to be friendly with your kids instead of leading and guiding your kids and giving them that tough love that you probably got growing up that helped you turn into the person that you have become. But now when we become, let's get into the interview. Let's get into the interview. We're going to get right to it. This is at the point where they start talking about Shedeur.
All right. So what happened with Shedeur Sanders?
Well, a number of things happened. The number one thing that didn't happen was there was not a collusion message with the NFL owners.
Okay. What? Okay. A lot of people think that.
Because they wouldn't be able to keep a secret like that. And
so they might do it, but they couldn't shut up about it.
They wouldn't be able to shut up about it. But every owner is very, very selfish. Now, why would I do something to my detriment? Like, if I need a quarterback and I think this kid is it.
Take a look at this clip.
Can NFL franchise and fan base expect out of Shedeur Sanders when he comes in and changes the culture and the path? That's the plan.
And since the reporter's volume was very low, I'm going to repeat, or I'm going to say what the reporter's saying in the beginning. I'm going to play it again and say what the reporter's saying. What can an NFL franchise and fan base expect out of Shedeur Sanders when he comes in and changes the culture and the path
That's
of
the
their
plan.
team?
If that,
All right, that's what the reporter said.
that's the plan. If that's not what you're trying to do, don't get me.
If that's not what you're trying to do, don't get me. You think there needs to be some type of collusion? Or if I'm worth $1 billion and I see a arrogant person like this who didn't even participate in the combine, that's another thing, but comes out, forget all that, because a lot of people don't participate, but he comes out and says, if you're not trying to change the culture of your franchise, don't come get me.
You ain't trying to change the franchise or the culture, don't get me. So you should know history repeats itself over and over and over.
Attitude reflects leadership. The leadership are the $1 billion owners, the CEO, the board, whoever else. That's who sets the culture, not you, Shedeur. This is not Colorado and this is not Jackson State.
And I've done it over and so you should know history repeats itself over and over and over. And I've done it over and over and over. So it should be no question why an NFL franchise should pick me.
There should be no question why an NFL franchise should pick me. You should know history repeats itself, and I've done it over and over and over. What have you done over and over and over? As a fan of yours, what exactly have you done over and over and over? You had far superior talent than any other HBCU when you were at Jackson State. You didn't win the championship there. I can remember you having a conversation with Cam Ward and you making an excuse talking about, oh, you had a running game. I didn't have a running game. As if that made it harder for Shedeur. Okay, well, you had everything better than everybody else at Jackson State. You still didn't win the championship. Then you go to Colorado. I believe your record was 13-12, brother. Like, what have you done over and over? You guys ran up the sales. So from that standpoint, I got to give you credit for it. You and your dad, I guess, you know, the team, the whole prime, the whole energy around the Sanders family. Yeah, y'all definitely ran up sales and everything. But as far as winning on the field, bro, like that, you have not arrived. And the reason why you feel that you've arrived and conduct yourself in an interview how you're conducting yourself here is because all of these other former NFL players, Stephen A. Smiths, the other pundits on ESPN, Fox, independent platforms, they're all telling you and celebrating you, I should say. They're celebrating you instead of keeping it real with you. All right. As a fan of yours, they should be even more inclined to keep it real with you. But what do? Oh, I'm a fan, so I don't want to, you know, I'm scared to offend Deion. I'm scared to say anything bad against Primes, bad against the Sanders family. That's corny. And what y'all did were all you guys did was cost this man $30 to $50 million. He fumbled the bag, and he fumbled the bag. He's got to take accountability for that. But he fumbled the bag is because he allowed all of these other people, probably that he looks up to get in his head and make him think that he was bigger than the program. And nobody is bigger than the program. I guarantee you, one of his mentors, that he calls him his mentor, Tom Brady, I guarantee you, Tom Brady did not go for this. And I even remember hearing Tom Brady being asked about certain stuff that Shedeur was doing. And I can tell Tom Brady didn't want to put Shedeur on blast, but he did not condone this behavior. Colluding, NFL teams colluding, bro, listen to what you just said. There doesn't need to be a collusion. Let's get back to the video with Cris Carter. Let's get back to it.
What he didn't realize is the guys that have fallen in the draft before, they all had unusual traits. Like they had some superstar qualities to them. Now, some other things happened that made them fall, but Shedeur and his family, they overplayed their hand. Them thinking that he was in the same evaluation mode as Eli Manning, they didn't play that right. Them trying to narrow the teams that he was going to go to, that didn't do right. Not working out at the combine, that wasn't the right thing. His interview process, obviously he could have done a lot better in that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people left that meeting, felt he was very, very entitled.
Which meet? Like, because they said Brian DeBall, the Giants coach, had said he didn't like the meeting. He asked him, he had some book, was his playbook or something he was supposed to know, and he said he felt weird about it. I don't know who else said they didn't like the meeting with him. Or were just people behind the scenes saying they did?
Well, the thing about it, they didn't draft him.
I know that.
So it's
part.
not the tape.
Okay. Because the tape's good enough to get drafted early enough.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his tape is good enough for him to be a first rounder. But
his tape was good enough to be a first rounder. And Cris Carter's getting ready to say the but. But see, you heard Gilly out here. You heard Stephen A. Smith. You heard even Jamal Bowman talking about it's racist. You heard all these people talking about, oh, because the tape said that he's a first-round pick, he's a first-round pick. That's not how it goes. Y'all are adults. Y'all don't know how this works. Maybe a lot of y'all haven't been in corporate America, but the NFL is corporate America. It's not just about your tape. In what world are we living in? Do we think that it's just about our tape? And what's so funny is you heard Gilly say it's a reminder that you still a nigga. It's a reminder. I guess Gilly, because he got his big bag after making a career or living the type of life that he was living before this, and then he got millions of dollars. I guess he was confused as to how all this thing works. It's not a reminder that you still a nigga. It's a reminder that billionaires are not going to be controlled by workers. You are on the field, bro. You are a pawn. That billionaire who owns that NFL franchise, you are a pawn, no different than that company that the majority of people that are watching this video right now, your boss, your CEO, you're a pawn for them. Let's just keep it real. So would you, because you're gassed up to think that, oh, I'm the best manager around. I'm the best manager around. So therefore, I'm going to go in and tell this boss that, yeah, this is how I'm going to change the culture. You will be fired or never even get that position. But because y'all are so starstruck and caught up in this fandom of Shedeur Sanders, y'all are confused. And it's almost as if, like, what did y'all expect to happen?
there's a number of things. It's not one thing. Last year when Deion interviewed for the Dallas Cowboys job, that did not help Shedeur. Now, it helped Deion get a new contract in Colorado, but long-term it didn't help Shedeur because the Giants, they're coached in their last year, general manager in their last year. If they struggle, the Giants potentially, an option would be look at Deion as the head coach. So why would I draft a kid? Like, they missed out on that. Like, they obviously, they didn't think this all the way through.
So here you got, what he's talking about is Deion interviewed for the Dallas Cowboys job while at Colorado. Deion has said, I believe, all right, I don't have the exact video up here, so otherwise I would play it. Deion has made it clear that he wants to coach his son, Shedeur, in the NFL. So now as a coach or as a GM, I'm going to deal with the pressure of bringing Shedeur Sanders in, being a backup, or even being a starter, and things don't go well. And then at the end of that season, there's going to be all this talk, and Deion's going to be adding into it. Stephen A. Smith going to be adding into it. Shannon Sharp, all these different people going to be adding into it. Well, what about Deion being the coach? He's had success with Shedeur, you know, his entire life. And by success at Colorado, it's success because of where they were. And then he turned it into 13 and 12. So I guess people can argue about that. But those coaches that GM, now they're going to be put in a position where they got to defend their job because their quarterback's dad is campaigning for that job. Come on now, this is common sense.
I think there were a number of teams that had that in the back of their mind, and they don't believe his talent is generational. They do believe that guys are more athletic and guys have bigger arms, and they do believe he's been coddled. He's been coached by Deion his whole life. Now, there's been benefits to that, but this is the first time it's been a detriment.
So his tape, because he had last season, 4,000 yards, 37 touchdowns, NCAA leading 74% completion rate. Then he said, in his line, was his offensive line good?
Offensive line was no good.
Okay,
Wide
no
receivers,
good.
3 wide receivers drafted in the NFL.
Yeah, but offensive line.
No good.
I'm getting to him. So you talk about him holding the ball too much. Sometimes people are coming to hit you, and you don't want to throw it to the other team. Is that not fair enough?
Yeah, let me talk football, though.
Yeah, I'm listening.
There's a reason why a lot of dudes hold on to the ball, too, is because the coverage has not revealed where the ball, and their anticipation is not as good as some of the other guys.
So sometimes he ate the ball is because he couldn't pick up the coverage prior to, and the defense outsmarted him.
Yes, and he likes guys to be a little more open before he lets it go, and he doesn't have a big-time arm. He's not a big guy. He's not overly athletic. So his measurables are not.
That's something that I didn't really think about. I'm gonna be totally honest. You know, a lot of times we look at his offensive line wasn't that good. He took a lot of sacks. He held on to the ball very long. But I didn't necessarily connect all the dots. I'm being totally honest. Even my bro Bez told me actually Bez did bring this up. So we did kind of talk about it. But recently I didn't take that into consideration, where him deciding to hold the ball because he wanted to wait for receivers to be a little bit more open, didn't want to take those chances, didn't want to throw necessarily early. You see a lot of advanced quarterbacks like a Tom Brady get the ball out quickly. You know, a lot of guys are able to anticipate a guy being open rather than wait for them to be open. Now, I've never evaluated Shedeur Sanders' tape looking at that, so I can't really speak on it too much, but this is what Cris Carter's saying. So perhaps some of the experts on the NFL staff, maybe they were thinking the same thing. Still doesn't matter to me because Cris Carter's still saying that he was a first-round talent. And when I say that it still doesn't matter, I'm saying it still doesn't matter at the fact that how he conducted himself is the reason why he fell from the first round to the fifth.
Say first-round measurables, but he played football like a first-rounder.
But his tape's first-round tape. But his measurables are not first-round measurables.
Well, you don't play football all the time. You're a human being the rest of the time. And how you're going to be in the locker room, how he already came up with this line of merchandise, legendary, like he's already calling himself legendary. All those things are problems. And once the teams that weren't looking at starters, the makeup of a backup in the NFL is totally different.
Sorry, I was blowing my nose. I want to address that he already has this brand legendary. That's what I was talking about earlier. They want a guy like Cam Ward, any large company, even small company. I'll be totally honest, when I'm looking for people to hire, even for my little company, I'm looking at it like, my assistant right now who does a bunch of stuff. I see her doing her personal branding and stuff like that. But I'll be lying if I said that every time that something's late or something's not done right, or there's a delay for whatever reason, an excuse here and there, I'm looking at it like, well, you've been posting consistently on your other brand, your personal brand. It's just something that people who hire other people would prefer not to have. People that are hiring other people, whether it's little old me or especially if it's $1 billion franchise, they do not want to put somebody in control of their franchise who prioritizes another brand, their personal brand, above the team brand. Nobody is bigger than the program. That's how it has to be, because what does that do? That now sets the tone for other players to do the same on the team. So now if you have a team full of people that are looked at as prioritizing their individual brands over the team brand, what does that do? What does that create? Now, in my experience, whether football or off the field, in a corporate environment, people perform better when you're the team performs better when you're prioritizing the team over you as an individual. When people buy into the team and realize that buying into the team and prioritizing the team is actually going to do what's best for us as individuals. Now, the Patriots have that figured out, or had that figured out. A lot of other franchises may not. It is very hard to get people to buy into a team-first approach, prioritizing that over your personal brand, and it's probably impossible to do when the leader of your team is prioritizing their personal brand over the team.
That
Like,
I understand. I understand that he's probably not going to be
the
fired
backup
up
in the
to not
NFL,
play.
he doesn't have a media team following him. He doesn't have cameras following him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have all these social media, all these things that they're doing.
But
so
you wouldn't let that happen, right? The team wouldn't let that happen. If you're back quarterback, wouldn't the team just say, you're not doing all this shit?
the team doesn't have the right to do that.
Wow.
The team would give you advice to say that I think you should concentrate on learning the playbook and being an NFL player, but they can't mandate what you do in your downtime.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just think for me, like I'm listening to him, and I listen. He fell. Did he fall a lot further than you thought he would fall?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
bro, he probably. I mean, the contract situation, the signing bonus or lack of signing bonus
The amount of money.
that he missed out on. I mean, you're talking about top 5 pick. You're talking about $30 to $40 million, and then it sets you up for that next contract. It sets you up for that option year.
Oh my God.
But right now, he's working check to check, man. Like he's not.
He fumbled $30 to $40 million, bro. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care whether he'll make it on the back end, he'll make it with this. Nah. He fumbled $30 to $40 million that he did not have to fumble.
Not going to get a big signing bonus. There's not going to be a big guarantee. Any day they want to get rid of him in the week, they can get rid of him. Mm-hmm. And it's really tough when they draft someone at your position because only one quarterback plays. It's not like wideout. It's not like DB. Mm-hmm. And then in the third round, they drafted Dillon Gabriel.
Which he's better than Shedeur. He's a better. I'm asking. He's a
Well,
better.
I'm just going to tell you right now, they're slotted. Draft picks are lane assignments. Mm-hmm. So he's got lane 3. Shedeur drafted in lane round 6 is in lane 8 or lane 1. He's either run out by the fence by the kids, or he's running in lane 1 where he's got to run that long turn.
Yeah,
that's the way the game is,
man. A lot
man.
of work to do,
and it's hard to get to your second contract when you're working check to check.
All right, so
Yo, I really hope that young kids are listening to Cris Carter. I really hope that young kids are listening to Cris Carter. When you are Deion Sanders, perhaps you can have this big prime brand. Deion was a cornerback, not quarterback. Perhaps that would have influenced how teams looked at him as far as taking him in the draft a little bit differently if they were looking for him to run the team as the quarterback. Having a cornerback aura at quarterback, I don't think a lot of teams want that. And that's just based on looking at the history of quarterbacks. Now, if you want to change the culture, do all this stuff, change comes with some cons as well. It's not all sweet. Any bit of change comes with some type of struggle and challenge, right? To change something. Think about how we want to change our behavior, how difficult that can be. The sacrifices that we need to make. So therefore, any change, if you want to be the change, I want to be the guy that changes the culture of the NFL, changes the culture of a team. All right, well, don't expect it to go as smoothly as it would if you weren't so concerned with changing the culture. As another guy like a Cam Ward who's just trying to come in and just win underneath the culture that is already established by the billionaire owners and the people they hire.
Here are the quarterbacks they're going to have in the quarterback room. Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur.
Damn, I forgot about this.
Who's going to play?
Crazy.
Who's going to start?
I think either Shedeur or Kenny Pickett are going to start.
I would agree with that.
I think they're going to keep Joe Flacco around just long enough to give him some seasoning.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be in an unusual quarterback situation because they're going to have to keep 2 rookies.
Yeah.
They're going to have to keep Dillon, and they're going to have to keep.
So why pick Shedeur after you pick Dillon?
Because value. Value. Like when you're trying to put your roster together and there's a kid that you can get for a 6th-round investment and put him in your locker room, and you were thinking about potentially drafting him.
No, I get why I took Shedeur. I think I was sitting there waiting. Why wouldn't somebody else grab him anyway? Why take Gabriel? You think He was a better pick for them over Shedeur at that time.
Man, something
Obviously, that's what they thought. That's why they picked him.
happened with the Browns between day 2 and day 3. Okay, because with Shedeur available, and it's not like, okay, I'm prone to get a lefty, which Dylan is a lefty compared to Shedeur. The kid's got the most starts in the history of college football, Gabriel. And then Shedeur's still on the book that they can pick him up. But something had to change in their philosophy because they could have got Shedeur with the 3rd round pick. Something changed between ownership, management, the general manager. Something changed between day 2 and day 3.
And what bothers me the most.
And what may have changed is the fact, like, all right, maybe we think he's been humbled enough, so now we can take a shot at drafting a guy in the 5th round that has the talent of a 1st rounder. We never know. We never know. And honestly, let me wrap this video up here. Those are the things that I wanted to focus on. Those are the things that I wanted to focus on. I think we touched on everything. Let me make sure, actually. Let me pull it back up. Make sure. We'll go through that one more time.
About the measure.
It did not help him. It helped him make money in college.
Oh, hold on. See? Almost
Going to get by New Orleans.
If those things were better.
Video together. No, I want to be known as a football player. And then Shedeur's still on the book that they can pick him up. But something had to change in their philosophy because they could have got Shedeur with the 3rd round pick. Something changed between ownership, management, the general manager. Something changed between day 2 and day 3.
And what bothers me the most about the measurables is this kid ain't been in trouble. He ain't got no like charges. He's not out. I don't know him, so I understand. I think.
Listen, a lot of people have been saying this. Oh, they've drafted other players that got arrested and all that. If you're running a team, this is just my opinion. If you're running a team, they think that it's a lot easier to control a player from, let's say, getting into trouble or getting a DUI. Bro, take care of yourself. We can fix that. We can have a security guard with you 24/7. We can figure that out. But mindset, we cannot control. We cannot control your attitude as far as a leader and prioritizing your personal brand over the team brand. People think that they can change people as far as, or just from what just my short life experience, right? And observations. Billionaires and people who are hiring people would rather take a chance on somebody that may have gotten into trouble compared to somebody that has the wrong attitude and mindset. But maybe I'm wrong.
The struggle for me is don't guys, when they walk in the NFL, don't guys just get humbled? When they walk in the locker room, even before you have to humble them, don't they walk in and look around and be like, man, don't we think Shedeur's smart enough to know he's not at Jackson State and he's not at Colorado?
No.
You don't think so?
I listened to too many of his answers. I saw too many of the outtakes. I saw too many times he was working out with other players, and he said things that I thought were highly questionable for my franchise quarterback.
So like what?
When he was working out with Cam Ward, him and Cam Ward, the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you want to cut a rap video together? No, I want to be known as a football player.
And he's like, what do you do for fun? He's like, I play football. But do you think
honestly, they should have never even let that tape go out. That just shows how delusional people are and how much they can get caught up in these type of things. Why would you even allow that tape to be out? I shouldn't even be able to see that. It's literally elevating Cam's draft stock and lessening yours. Shedeur talking about, yo, let's make a rap video. Cam like, nah, I play football, bro. There's another one in that same workout. Cam calling him out like, damn, you getting water already? We didn't even finish the first drill. Shedeur come back laughing. Nah, it was Gatorade, not water. I get paid for that. That is not the attitude that coaches, GMs, execs, and owners want. And we're acting as if we don't know this. And we're expecting them to change, but not expecting Shedeur to change. All right.
You talk about some of the great coaches you
You get to change culture when you own the team. So if Deion wants to put together a group of investors and buy a team, then they can do it however they want to do it. But that's not how it's currently constructed amongst these NFL owners and franchises, and that was shown in this draft.
had. Like let's use Tomlin. No, we can't use that. Let's use Tomlin. He walks into Pittsburgh, which obviously is in Cleveland now. Tomlin can't control that? Or he chooses
You can
not
only
to?
control so much. If you draft a guy in the first round, you're also empowering whatever that is. So if he comes in, he's got a media crew, you draft him in the first round, you're our quarterback, you're accepting that.
You're accepting that, not just with him, but accepting that behavior amongst your entire team. You got a 22-year-old coming into your team. You're drafting him in the first round. You're pretty much enabling the behavior, saying like, nah, that's what we want. You heard Shedeur say, if you're not looking to do these things, don't come get me. So if they do come get you early, what is that putting in Shedeur's head? Everything that I've been doing, I'm going to keep doing, maybe even escalate it even more. So now when you got the 25-year-olds, the 30-year-olds in that NFL locker room, what do you think they're going to do? They're either going to have a problem with it or they're going to be doing the same thing.
So you're either teaching it or you're tolerating it.
So if he had went to the combine, if he had good interviews, he'd have been a top. He might have gotten picked by the Giants early.
Top 10. He's not going to get by the Raiders, and he's not going to get by New Orleans.
If those things were better.
Why wouldn't you sit down with people? And something these kids never understand. Even if you're a top 10 pick, you're in the NFL for a long time. Yeah. So your interview, your tape, people in the room that see you, someone can like you in the room. They might not draft you 5-10 years later, man.
You're looking for a guy, you're looking to trade, and they remember your interview.
Yes.
The interview you had.
It's a small world.
Did you know that when you were his age?
Yes, I knew that.
How did you learn it?
Well, I was at Ohio State, and we had extensive media training, but this whole thing with Deion and the media and everything, like, it's out of control. Like, it did not help.
It's out of control. I'm glad he's saying it. Everybody else is riding Deion, celebrating Deion, just trying to be a fanboy, trying to be cool. And nah, sometimes you got to go against the grain, and salute to Cris Carter for doing so. Salute to Cris Carter for having the courage to do what a lot of these other people did not have the courage to do.
It helped him make money in college because he got followers, but it actually hurt him as far as him getting a job as an NFL quarterback.
You mean as Shedeur, his social media stuff with Shedeur?
Yes.
It hurt him.
Yeah. What else hurt him? What else?
Lack of ability, lack of leadership. I hear you on everything you're saying. I'm not disputing any of that as far as what you're saying and what people thought. But I'm like, I can't imagine being an NFL head coach. And like, this is my deal. I agree if you're a first round pick compared to your 6th round pick, I get.
But if you don't have to deal with it, when 99% of all your players understand that, but you got one person that you have to.
Think they could get him to understand that real fast? I know you've heard his interviews.
Let me tell you what he understands today.
Okay.
He ain't running shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. They taught him a great lesson.
Okay.
Like, you don't have this figured out. Your dad don't have this figured out.
Who's they? NFL,
Shedeur?
the world. No, who taught you? Said they taught him. I'm just curious. Like,
well, the system.
The system. Okay,
the system.
The system, the same system that you abide by when you go to work. It's the system. It's not collusion. It's how things go. Just like if you were an owner. So many of us, we look at things through the 9-to-5, being an employee mindset. So therefore, we want to celebrate when somebody bucks the system. But you don't do it. The system taught him that. You do not run things. Perspective is a perception versus perspective. Being aware, reading the room is very important. They did not read the room correctly. Him, his dad, they did not read the room correctly. And a lot of people were misleading them. I wish he had a Cris Carter in his corner. I wish Tom Brady would have spoke up and told Shedeur. I don't know what Tom Brady said. So I don't know. But I wish that Tom Brady maybe would have put him on blast a little bit more publicly, because it also probably would have helped a whole lot of younger kids and even kids maybe in the draft right now. Or they just were in the draft right now, I should say. Salute to Cris Carter, man. Your daddy don't got it figured out. There's video of Deion. Hold on. If I could pull up this video. There's video of Deion talking about he's only going to allow his son to play for different teams. Deion Sanders interview with Tamron Hall. I think it's with Tamron Hall. Let me see if I can bring up a highlight. All right, check this out.
You have said that if the right team does not pick him, that you will intervene.
That's my son. It's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for. It's almost like you got a child that's going into an occupation that you already dominated in. Like, come on. And you don't think I'm not gonna sit there like a navigational system and tell him take a right there, take a left right there, take a not that, not that. Oh no. Like, that's who I'm called to do. That's my son. I'm not gonna let my son get down in no foolishness.
But you and I both know these coaches, these owners, right? You've been in the rooms.
Right.
The owners, billionaire owners,
Yes.
will often say, well, this is a young man who should be making his own decisions. He's got this helicopter dad.
Not my son.
Deion overplayed his hand, in my opinion. I don't disagree with what Deion just said. I disagree with Deion saying it on live television. Of course, you should be guiding and doing all these things that you just mentioned with Shedeur. But when you say it how you just said it on TV, come on now, you know how this goes. I grew up, let's just be real. Coaches, most coaches, even from a peewee age, I noticed how they treat certain players differently. My dad was always in my life. My dad would pull up at practice, never say anything. My dad was not one of those dads that would get involved, say anything or nothing. Didn't speak to coaches except one incident that I'm proud of my dad for doing. Coaches don't want to deal with the fathers. You think billionaires want to deal with Deion? You think billionaires want to deal with the fact that Deion is saying this on a public platform, so then when something may not go smoothly with his son while he's playing for those teams, what do we expect Deion to do then? Come on now, this is not complicated. It is not complicated.
System out there, man.
Okay.
Like you're going for a job interview. So for his job interview, he was so concerned about what his outfit was. His necklace was over $100,000. Like, he hadn't even convinced people that you're the face of our franchise. Matter of fact, he had convinced people that they were better off going in a different direction, even with people who had lesser talent. That's the rub he put on the people.
If that's the case, that's a bad interview, bro.
No, it is the
Work.
case. He didn't get drafted right. It's no speculation. Like, we're through the draft. We threw 3 days. He threw away at least $30 to $50 million. At least.
Dude, I just don't. And I hear you on all that. I think it's just it's unfortunate that somebody that had less ability or and especially when Dylan got picked, I was like, damn.
This is the thing.
And,
people,
First off, it's not just physical ability when we say ability. What's one of the best abilities that you can have, what the NFL teams told the rooms when I was there? Even college, pee-wee, high school, coach ability. The ability to be coached, like ability. The ability to be liked, not only by your other teammates, but by the people that are actually giving you the position of power that you and leading the team. The owners, they need to like you. The coaches need to think that you're coachable. Come on now. Like, why are we playing these games here? Shout out to Cris Carter once again.
people say, well, what about Johnny Manziel? Man, Johnny Manziel beat Alabama twice.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel.
Please stop. We don't need to compare Shedeur to Johnny Manziel. There's very few people that we need to compare to Johnny Manziel.
He was.
Johnny Manziel was a dude.
He was a dog. Yeah, no doubt about it. He was a different dude coming out with the resume he had. He was a different dude.
And
I totally
there's
agree
some
with
other
that.
things coming out.
Yeah.
Shedeur threw a birthday party. None of his teammates went.
That's like the movie Draft Day. Remember the movie Draft Day? That's exactly what they said they want to draft him. They had a birthday party in Wisconsin in the fictitious movie with Kevin Costner, and they said, how many of your teammates are? He's like, I don't really remember. He's like, your 21st birthday, you don't really remember? You know? Well, hey, dude, it'll be interesting.
The contract he signs, he will not make more money in the NFL contract that he signs, the 3 or 4 year contract he signs, than he made in NIL in college. He getting ready to work for less money in pro football than he was making in college.
I guess we'll see what kind of dude he is and how much work he puts in or not. It'll be interesting. You're not betting on it, though.
Man, we are what we do and what we say.
Yeah,
okay.
I would agree with that. 100%. All right, so the Steelers drafted your guy.
Shout out to Cris Carter. I don't even need to say anymore. But these are just some things to think about when you're having the conversation around Shedeur, because it's bigger than Shedeur. It's an understanding. And if you got kids, even if you don't have kids, this is just life stuff. You want to become the owner? Just think about why entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs. You ever think about that? Why entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs? Because they don't want to do what somebody else is telling them to do. They don't want to work for somebody else. So you think that person that risked a whole lot to build up a company, to build up $1 billion franchise, or to buy $1 billion franchise, you think they want to hire somebody who's coming in talking about they're going to change the culture and the franchise, and if you're not really ready to have me come in and change the culture of the franchise, don't come get me? Well, they didn't come get you. All right, so we'll wrap it up there. I'll see y'all soon, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon. Ew.